We have an obligation to implement a safe, legal market in Ohio for those people who want to use recreational marijuana. But we also have an obligation to protect the rights of those who don't want to be exposed to it.
In less than 1 hour, it will be legal for Ohioans 21 and over to smoke, possess, and grow marijuana.
But the conversation about how exactly that law will look is still ongoing at the State House. We thank you for joining us for NBC4 at 11. I'm Colleen Marshall.
Hello to you. I'm Carrie Charles. We have team coverage for you tonight. Kyle Beachy explains what consumers can and can't do at the stroke of midnight. But first, let's begin with State House reporter Natalie Fahmy, who walks us through the changes lawmakers want to make.
Despite the Senate passing their version of an Issue 2 bill with only 2 votes against it, the state legislature failed to send anything to the governor's desk before marijuana officially became legal. The Senate is proposing a number of changes to the law in a bill that Governor Mike DeWine says is imperative to pass as soon as possible. Parts of the bill decreases the number of marijuana plants someone can grow in their home, increases the excise tax you'll pay when purchasing recreational marijuana, and has a criminal record expungement portion for a marijuana possession of the newly legal limits. The bill also has an addition that would allow medical dispensaries to sell recreational marijuana to adults 21 and over on the effective day of the bill. While the Senate passed something on Wednesday evening, the House adjourned without considering what the Senate passed. And Governor Mike DeWine says enacting the Senate's bill as soon as possible is imperative.
Without the enactment of this bill, we will have the following situation. While it will be legal for Ohio citizens to possess marijuana, there will be no place for them to legally buy it. This bill deals with this, and it deals with it by speeding up the time frame when adults will be able to purchase recreational marijuana legally, thus reducing the opportunity for the black market to flourish.
Speaker of the House Jason Stephens did not make himself available to comment to reporters yesterday. Their next House session is scheduled for next week. Local for you at the State House, I'm Natalie Fahmy, NBC4.
Well, as the State House goes back and forth on how to regulate the cannabis industry, consumers in Ohio are seeking clarity.
NBC4's Kyle Beachy has been talking with some of them. He joins us now with how the implementation of Issue 2 is going to affect them tomorrow. Really, Kyle, beginning in less than an hour.
Less than an hour, that's right. And the clock waits for no one. Once it does strike midnight, Issue 2 goes into effect. Possessing and using marijuana will be legal. But one thing you can't do, even starting tomorrow, is buy it.
I just think it's just ridiculous. I think people should be able to smoke marijuana freely, and they can get it recreational and buy it at the store.
Most people who stopped and talked with us had no issue with the looming midnight hour of marijuana legalization.
People should have the freedom to do it, not hurting anybody. Risk of it hurting you is pretty low, so I don't have a problem with it.
As December 7th arrives, Issue 2 goes into effect. This means consumers can possess up to 2.5 ounces of marijuana flower and 15 grams of THC concentrates. Home grow is legal too. 6 plants for a single person over 21 or 12 plants for a household with 2 or more adults over 21. One major issue. There's nowhere you can buy recreational marijuana in Ohio, and you still can't purchase at a medical dispensary without a medical card. There's no entities licensed to sell non-medical cannabis in the state.
Business is going to come around eventually, and then people that, already have it, I guess, it wouldn't be an issue then anyway.
The Department of Commerce has 9 months to complete the licensing process, and sales can't begin until those licenses are issued and facilities are certified. And the political process of legalization does have some, like Travis Daniel, concerned.
It's just like nicotine. It's just like alcohol. It's just like any other form. Just relax. Smoke a joint. Golly. Relax them.
So what about visiting a nearby state where you can purchase marijuana and then bring it back since it's legal to possess in Ohio? Well, you still cannot do that. It's against federal law to transport cannabis across state lines.